Hello, my dear gentle marketers. Welcome to the Gentle Business Revolution podcast, the show where we talk about marketing your business by disrupting the current marketing paradigm and changing it to a gentler approach, one that's based on empathy and kindness. As always, if you're a regular listener, you know my name. I'm Sarah Zinacroce. I'm your host here. And you also know that you're in the right place if you are a heart-centered entrepreneur or change maker who is looking for a better way to market your business. Or you are an entrepreneur who's tired of the traditional marketing model and are ready for a change or ready for a paradigm shift. You might also be a marketing impact pioneer, so someone working for an organization, maybe in marketing or some other department, who does business for good. Today, you're listening to a special summer episode. Penny and I are back with this summer series of 6 episodes where we take a look at the 7 P's of gentle marketing looking at it from an old perception and comparing it to a new perception. I want you to know that this is not your regular episode. I continue to post those on Fridays. These episodes are raw, non-edited, no bells and whistles, just real human conversations about the old and new perceptions. We recorded them over 2 afternoons in June and had a blast. So today we talk about partnerships, collaborations, so exciting. And we talk about different things such as co-marketing, how to talk about money in partnerships, especially with this term that often comes up, which is affiliate partnerships. So how do we deal with that? We talk about flat hierarchies, partnerships for introverts, and much more. I think you're in for a treat, so let's dive right in. Hi, Penny. We're back with another extra episode for this summer special about the 7 P's of marketing with Penny Pierce. I'm so glad you're still here.
two more P's in there.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have
these conversations. This is really fun to rethink this with you. I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Yeah. So am I. And I'm like, okay, I got to put this in the book. Penny said this. Let me adding that into the book. So this week we're talking about partnership. And I'm just putting up the mandala again for those who are watching this on YouTube. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can also download your mandala, Gentle Marketing Mandala, at sarahzinacroce.com/1 page. So this week we're talking about partnership. And as we mentioned in the last episode, if you missed that, definitely worth a listen. So the people episode. There's an overlap between partnership and people because obviously we have partnerships with people. So let's talk about partnership. And as we always do, look at the old perception and the new perception. And what I can think of right now is this idea of competition. Gotta kill the competition, like you gotta build it by yourself. That's kind of the old message that we received. It's like, they're going to steal your clients.
Yes.
Where are we heading to? Hopefully somewhere good. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. Well, there are different kinds of partnership too, right? I mean, we have a partnership with our clients. We have a partnership with our employees.
Right.
Co-workers, that they're not below us. We're talking before about the hierarchical structure being ego-based. And now as the left brain, which is kind of related to ego, softens a bit and we start opening the right brain and the intuitive way of doing everything, then we start to understand a different way of working with things. So hierarchical structures aren't actually working that well anymore. They're too slow. As you flatten those and come down and empower the base and all the people in between to each be creators, well, then and when they're clear too, they're not just caught up in negative thinking, but when those people start to become clear and they start to come together in partnership, but they're each being connected to their own clear, authentic flow,
I need to ask you this because you mentioned it
Yeah.
before and I forgot to ask. What's this word clear to you mean? What is that?
Yeah. To me, that means it's bordering on becoming transparent, but
Yeah.
it has to do with seeing through the fears that keep you sort of contracted and paralyzed. We all have those yes buts and the shoulds and the, those edicts that our left brain makes about how everything has to work. And it
Yeah.
really contracts energy.
Right.
So it doesn't allow flow, and it doesn't allow intuition. It doesn't therefore allow high level guidance that comes from high frequency kind of consciousness.
Right.
So clearing to me is, I think I call it clearing the clutter, in my book Transparency. It's like all the fear-based ideas, your belief systems that are stuck, all that negative things about habits and so forth, that are in the way. They're interfering clutter. So as you understand each piece and go, oh, it was just that. Okay, I don't have to worry about that. And it evaporates kind of. And now you're more clear. Right. So we're in a process of doing that right now, a lot of us. But I was saying, when you flatten that structure and more of the people become clear like that, then they start to collaborate more. But then the growth expands and accelerates tremendously. And you have rapid solving of world problems and new inventions. And we're going to have a big innovation age coming. I'm sure of it as this starts happening.
Right.
Energy crisis over, cancer healed, like this kind of thing. But it doesn't happen.
Find solutions together, and yeah,
right.
It's so interesting because right now, obviously, people are kind of going, but we're seeing the opposite right now. It's like
we are, because it's
pandemic.
becoming conscious. It was unconscious. Now it's conscious. We're seeing how the head of our country could slow down the progress toward healing.
Right.
An epidemic,
It's this
we're seeing
the last
that
bit of power.
Yes. And CEOs doing the same thing, getting all this high priced pay, and the other people can barely, pay their bills.
Right.
This is, and it's not, I guess they would call it communism or socialism, but it's not that at all. It's a kind of consciousness that is actually more natural. And it's not an either or. I just want to say that too. It's not either the individual or the collective. You don't give up your individuality to be part of a group anymore. Yeah. It doesn't swallow you up.
No.
You stay unique and contributory, and everybody else does too. And then that makes this really interesting group mind, group heart that's evolving along with all the individuals. And so it's a dynamic interplay between the individuals and the group mind, that's what's fun. If you're just an individual and cut off from everybody, well, that's sacrificial. If you're just part of a group and you can't feel yourself, that's sacrificial.
Right.
And we're aiming with ourselves and other people to be non-sacrificial. It's not a glorious, wonderful thing anymore, to sacrifice yourself for the sake of others. That doesn't work. Right.
It's true that used to be part of the old perception, though.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the heroes, right?
It was noble.
Yeah.
It's not noble anymore.
Yeah.
But neither is total selfishness.
No.
Right. Yeah. So we're learning, how do you keep that fine line balance now with people,
right,
and yourself, because you're part of the group.
Right.
Yeah.
What that needs is probably a lot of trust, right?
Yes, totally. And it needs, it's almost like you're a zoom lens on a camera. Right. You can go down and focus into, this is me right now, and I'm thinking of what I love and what I want to create and offer to the world and what I want to have as products in my business or books I want to write. And then you relax and maybe you meditate and you go out and you start to feel, maybe I am the world, I am the earth. If I'm the earth, what would I be feeling right now? And then you have a large scale sense of self, and then you come back down and you do a task, and then you go back out and you get a vision.
Mm.
But we do this all the time with our little mind. It's like a camera lens, and it's all there, but you can't have it all at once. You move around,
Mm-hmm.
and none of them is totally right. It's not like just choose one view, So you empower yourself partly by having access to any view you want. Your own, somebody else's, a family's viewpoint, a nation's viewpoint, a world viewpoint, a solar system viewpoint, whatever, right?
So that also requires empathy, because we need to really also be able to put ourselves into other people's.
That is right. Right. Yeah.
So,
and it happened. We are naturally empathic.
right.
It is a natural skill.
Maybe we've lost it a bit, or some people have lost this.
Yes, because of ego.
Natural. Yeah.
As soon as you go into the left brain and get attached to thinking you are the left brain and that's the way life is, that science is the only thing and art and music aren't important in school anymore, well, you start to lose half of yourself,
right.
of reality.
Yeah, because if I think about the partnerships that went wrong, it was always a problem of ego, because the only interest there was from the other side was, growth in some kind, whether it was monetary growth or growing their business.
Takeovers.
Yes. Yeah. Just look at history. That was the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we say, okay, the old perception was ego-driven, there was no trust, there was no empathy. So the new perception is going to be all about, you call it convening, right?
Right.
Tell us more about this term.
Yeah. Okay. I have to repeat a little bit of what we did in one of the previous episodes, which is that as you start to work with your home frequency and saturate with it and saturate the field around you with it, you start to have these people showing up out of the field. It's not attraction anymore. It's like they just occur.
Right.
And so that is what I've been calling the convening.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those of similar vibration occur together. I occur in their field, they occur in my field. We share a new field together.
Mm-hmm.
And usually what happens when this convening thing happens, and it's a total frequency related phenomenon, that each person has a piece of the puzzle, almost like they have an idea for a vision. Often they're shared. It's shared in some way. Maybe they have parts of it, but as they come together and start talking, they get the fluffing up of the idea, into the bigger sense. And then they say, oh, I see what my part is.
Right.
And I'm so glad you're here to do that part because I don't have time to do that part.
Right.
And so then these things start fitting together and it becomes this happy sort of fun thing of a collaboration, and that could be between two people, and it can also be in a small group or larger groups.
I see. And the trust is a given because they are in your frequency. So it's not like you're trying to hunt them down and see who can I
and
trust?
Change them. Yeah. I'll train these people to be like me, like this. No, when you've met those special people in your life that you feel like they're soulmates or soul friends, and like, oh my gosh, we could just talk for 4 hours straight. We have so much in common, and oh, you did that. Oh, I did that too. And you get this kind of excitement going.
Yeah,
exactly.
With it, and then you have immediate trust.
And you know them. You don't have to go through a process. You just, the wavelength, the frequency takes care of all of that.
Yeah.
You just feel like, and then you just catch up, kind of, right. Oh yeah, right. I had that too. Yeah. And it makes sense.
So in a way, what we do with the work we do with, first finding out what our home frequency is, our values and all of that, and then say, okay, now we're resonating with clients who have the same frequency. Basically, the same thing applies to any kind of partners, be it employees, be it joint venture partners, be it affiliate partners, be it
husband and wife, or
exactly. It applies
best friends,
stakeholders, anything. There needs to be this alignment, because otherwise there is no trust, or it just won't work, I guess.
Right. Or there's not enough interest somehow to actually make the connection stay there.
Yeah.
What I find is when people are on the same home frequency, they evolve together.
Right.
When they're not, any kind of evolution on one side of the polarity causes the other one to break away.
Yeah.
It happens a lot in marriages, but it happens in business partnerships as well. One person is evolving and growing and they're getting new ideas, and the other one is still like, yeah, but when we started, it was like this. This was our agreement. Yeah, but we're evolving. So now we have to change our agreement.
Right.
The inner reality has evolved and shifted. It's no longer like in a marriage, for instance, they may have, this is the passionate, wonderful marriage. Well, then one grows and the other one doesn't, and they don't share that anymore. So now it's become more like a friendship.
Right. Yeah.
But they're still acting like it's a passionate marriage, and then feeling like, well, you did something wrong, and it's not. It's that the outer form has to now be redefined to match the inner energy state.
Right.
Same thing in partnerships in business. I've seen it happen a lot, where, the container of the business is shifting its frequency to be, maybe it's that they want to involve philanthropy a little bit more, and the other one wants all the profit.
Right. Yeah. Right. The values are no longer aligned, so it just won't work.
Yeah. So, so there needs to be, in this regard, frequent sensing of the inner and the outer. Is the inner, I call it the inner energy blueprint of anything. It could be a partnership, a business, a product, whatever. And that, of course, manifests and materializes a form that matches the inner blueprint. As the inner changes, the outer wants to change. But if the left brain is holding beliefs about how it should be and how it is and all those definitions, it holds back the flow from shifting the outer form. Does that make sense? It's like the energy can't come through to update the form. And now we have stress because it wants to change. Excuse me. And the belief systems or the resistance, or the making it right or wrong, getting polarized, that's all left brain stuff, is preventing the flow. When people are on the same wavelength, they allow for this, and they go, oh, you feel different today. What's going on for you? And maybe it's like the other person's processing some negative thing that popped up from their subconscious, and they're feeling kind of down and depressed, and the other person thinks, are you mad at me? Are we okay? And then you have to say, oh, I see, one person's frequency has just dropped out of the normal level. All right, it's just this. And now you describe it, say it out loud. The energy gets released and you can work with it because it's temporary. But when it's really, it's one of the intuitive skills is you're sensing something is really different and it's not going to change. And that means there's no way that other person is going to take advantage of my new knowledge and come up to be level with me so that we can evolve to the next step. And so that means they can't stay in the field with me. They're going to leave and go into their own field where other people are matching that frequency.
Right.
It's like we get kicked out of the, it's like popcorn popped out of the pan. It's just, we can't stay in the same vibration. And that's why people often, they get fired from jobs when they were doing a really good job and they've been there for 20 years. And what's the matter with me? I did all the right things. Well, you don't fit there anymore. You have evolved to a level and you don't they talk about partnership. You don't connect anymore. Time for you to grow.
So what does that mean? Because there's obviously going to be a huge change if, let's say the millennials come in with their new perception.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all these, people who have been there, like you said, for 20 years. And they're like, but I have all these skills and this experience. And there's going to be, big clashes between these partnerships because they just no longer work, right?
Could be, but then what you're describing is still a kind of a left brain difference. If you come in on a value system around home frequency, then you realize that the seniors or the people who've been there a long time have a rich amount of wisdom and know-how. And you don't want to lose that. You want that to be passed through the whole field of all the people, and the new millennials or whoever, the young people who have a new kind of other wisdom and innovation, they need to connect and have this cross-pollination. So it's not going to be an either-or situation again. It's going to be a both-and situation.
Right. And there's the empathy again. It's like...
That's right. And that's where the unifying...
You have a place in this in this hierarchy, not hierarchy, but you basically...
Well, it is kind of like old and new is a polarity again. But if you're all in the same kind of wavelength around spiritual truth and compassion and keeping the heart open and listening and learning and growing, then everybody, it doesn't matter old, new, whatever. It's all about innovation, service, higher values, and everybody contributes equally.
Right. What I found with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, the thing that always holds them back from collaborating more with others, having more of these partnerships is probably fear of not getting anything out of it, or they don't see it as a joyful thing to do because they're always attached to an agenda, right?
Right. And that's a little bit of an ego-based thing where, like, I own this material. I thought it up, like I don't want to lose it by somebody else taking it from me.
Right.
I've had my books plagiarized in Japan, for instance. It's just a normal thing. And I just say, okay, well, do I own all this, or is it all about getting the information to the most people?
Right.
Right. So there's a shift out of this kind of ownership of things in a way to a sharing. And yet when you're in that wavelength of the kindness and the mutual benefit, what I find is everybody attributes things to me now. It's like, well, she thought this up. I don't have to do it for myself.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Again, also because you're resonating with the right kind of people.
Yeah. It's about respecting each other in that way and treating each other well.
Yeah.
I think. And so I see this coming more and more with these convenings. And then as that happens, new projects are starting, and then those groups that are convening are starting to find other groups that are at the next level of shared vibration. Say, oh, my project fits with yours. Or, oh, we could scale this now to a different level. And the people that are at that higher frequency in that, like, let's say from a local to a state level to a national level, that there are resonant people at all those scopes.
Right.
Let's connect those people up.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, because the people who you resonate with, they have people that they resonate with, which also resonate with you.
And exactly.
Growing.
Yeah. And it's not like you have to do a lot of work. It's almost as though you just say, I would really like to find the people at the next level that I can connect with. And then the universe, they always say the universe does all the work. It's like, you just, invite something in, or you say what you're interested in. And the answer is always yes. You can have it. And then it starts to come along, but you have to have to be into that mindfulness practice of, I call it noticing what you notice,
Mm.
so that you can pick up on what you're being given.
Right.
Right. But still, the collaborations and the partnerships, I think, going back to the people, is that it gets to be so much fun to work with the people that are trying to do similar things that you are, that you'll do it almost for free in a way and let the money come from other sources sometimes. Like, it changes. It's not about survival anymore. It's more about thriving. And then you see that there's abundance. And if you need the money, it'll come from any direction, really. But like, I'm seeing a lot of especially the young people, they have these, I forget what they call it, like crowdsourcing type things, right? Where it's the hive brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Where there's a projects online, and how do we do this? And then so they just contribute all this
hackathons,
free services,
yeah,
for nothing, because it just want to do it together.
Yeah.
Right. It's a whole different motive.
Right.
Yeah. And yet there's still, money is abundant. You can have it. You can have a lot of it if you'd like that experiment. Right. But it's all then about sharing. Again, partnering, giving, receiving, flow, and again, trust. Because you can't have flow without trust.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I forget some of the other things we were thinking. Oh, like, affiliate programs. That was another thought that I had.
Yeah.
It's a way of partnering that's come up where, money's involved. And I don't know, what do you think about those?
Yeah, I've definitely been involved in them, and there has been good experiences. And usually it's because I had trust in the people.
Mm-hmm.
The people were already kind of in my field, right?
Right.
And then there has been experiences where, out of my own ego-driven decision, it was all about the money. It's like, oh yeah, let me promote you because then I'm going to get these commissions. And I wouldn't say everyone, but there's definitely not a lot, but like 2 or 3 that really didn't go well because there was no connection. The only thing we had in common was, I help you make more money and you give me more money, right? That was the only thing. It's like, let me help you grow your list, and in return, I give you money. So I definitely think that's what we're moving away from.
Mm-hmm.
I think the exchange of money that's not what's bad about it. Again, it's this giving and receiving. It's just that I think it will work if we're also aligned with the values of the person that we are.
Right, because to me it seems often very superficial. Like, who can I get to be in an affiliate with me?
Yeah.
Whereas we talked before, I think, on one of the other podcasts about how people really like, giving reviews of products or services. They like giving feedback,
right,
and recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
They like. Some people like criticizing, but again, if it's really bad service, you want to warn other people about it. But still, there's a love of recommending good things.
Right.
And I think that's really the thing that makes the affiliate programs work, is that you really, really like it. It's aligned with your values, with your people, and it fits, and it's not an imposition on them.
Yeah.
And then
and that's where I find it's a good thing, actually, to offer something in return. So I like giving money in exchange for someone sending me a new client, even though sometimes that puts the person who refers someone else makes them uncomfortable to receive money. But in a way, I think that's where this giving and receiving, oftentimes my heart-centered entrepreneurs, they need to work more on the receiving, being able to receive. And I think it's okay to exchange money in that case, because we're helping each other, we're collaborating, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's, it's all that deeper level stuff. If you're doing things superficially without much thought, people read that as well,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's one more topic I want to address, and it has to do with both of us being introverts, and a lot of the listeners are
and
introverts,
highly sensitive people,
exactly,
HSPs, and all of
yes,
that.
and when you say people or partnerships were like for a long time, I kind of always used the introvert card. Oh no, I do my own thing.
Right.
So what's changing is I think out of all the people I know online, there's definitely a lot of them are introverts. And those are actually the ones who are really good at these collaborations and convening.
Mm-hmm.
So what's changing for everyone, but especially maybe also for introverts? Why do we feel this call to collaborate more?
Yeah, well, I think introverts enjoy collaborating in small groups or, one-to-one, sharing and having meaning, because they feel deeply, and they get energy from
that.
More having space and being more open. And, extroverts get energy from being in groups. So I think, introverts, there is also a combination of when you want to do high quality work and you go out. In my earlier years, I would find people to help me, and then they never would do very good work. They would mess something up, and then I'd have to go back and fix it. And then that was like a waste of time and money, and so, but now I think it's a lot easier to start to tune into people who are motivated similarly. So it's a little easier. But again, that's a trust issue, isn't it, too? It's like trusting people, reading them properly, using your intuition, having also a clear set of agreements, up front. And saying, This is what I need to happen. Let's have a review period after this amount of time. If it's an employee or, a co-creator, let's check this again and see that our inner blueprints haven't changed, and we're not distracted by something else. And you're going to go off and start your own business now.
That's true. What I also think is specifically difficult for introverts is this calling for help or asking for help. And in a way, collaborations, that's part of a collaboration. It's like, let me reach out to someone and see if they'd be open to collaborate. An introvert would rather say, no, I can figure this out on my own. I don't want to put myself out there and draw attention. And so part, I think, is also that. It's like, let me just figure it out by myself.
Right. It saves time.
Yeah. More efficient.
Yeah. But there are so many things now, for instance, with the internet and the tech stuff that, I like learning about it all, but it's like a full-time education to get good at those things.
Right.
So you really need help. You need to work with people.
Right.
Yeah. On various things, and you can't do it all. Yeah.
So just to wrap it up again, new perception for partnerships. How would you summarize?
Versus the old way of thinking around it. Well, I think part of it is the effort and strain of getting people and attracting people. It's like they're in the outside world, so we have to use all this willpower to get them, and then please them and maintain them, and keep things, as you think they should be. And then, dealing with the whole polarity of dominator-victim patterns that come up in relationships, because then there's rebellion and resistance. So that's the old thing. It's like things are basically separate. And we got to make them work.
Right.
Or this partner is completes me, whatever, like a codependent thing. Like I can't be myself without this other part.
Right. And
then you're sacrificing the individuality again. So So the new perception is more this both and rather than either or. So the both and is I can be myself and I can have these people and I can work with them and they can be themselves and they can work with me and the others. And we can feed each other and we can revise our role relationships if we need to, right when we start to feel it. And people can come and go. Whatever they need is what we all need. You know, if somebody's going to leave the partnership or the group, God bless. You know, you're moving on to your new thing, and that's going to be a help to everybody. Mm-hmm. You know, and someone will come that's going to come in at the next level of whatever we need. It's just all, there's no mistakes.
Right.
It's all part of this flow, you know. So, yeah, I think with the new perception, it really is based on trust. And trust, what is that? It's just the experience of the mechanics of interconnection, of the true universal principles that govern our community, mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. And how, you know, what we source ourselves from. When you're alone, you think you're sourcing from your own past or your parents' lineage or maybe even your past lives, if you believe in that. And but it's still kind of a narrow sort of band of sourcing. You get with another person, you have what I call a relationship entity, the combined knowledge and lineages and everything of two people.
Right.
And then that merges into this big kind of pool of knowledge in the non-physical that then comes down and sources both people. And so often when you're with one other person, what they think of saying is really coming from the combined entity. And I would have said it if I had thought of it, but they're my mouthpiece, you know, from the big thing, right? And then I trust them because they're coming from the same, you know, source.
Right.
Right? They're not my opponent. They're giving an interesting piece of information. So we listen better, you know. Right. And then if you get more people involved, that collective being of the non-physical source or the inner energy blueprint of that group is sharing lots of stuff. Right. Pretty soon you start realizing that I'm not just accessing information and guidance from my own, you know, little line. I've got access to the whole thing. There's unlimited ideas. There's unlimited source. And everybody is part of helping me get at what I need to know. If I don't think of it in the moment, somebody will, you know, and there's no accident about the way people show up and the things they do and the things they say at each moment.
What came up for me as you were talking is, you know, we mentioned introverts before, and introverts are usually known as the quiet people. And so as a voice by ourselves, maybe we have difficulty getting heard because, well, we're quiet people. But when you said that, it was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. We get into a group. It's not like we speak louder, but our words resonate, and you know the frequency gets higher, and so in the end we make ourselves heard because we are now several people.
That could be, yeah. I think also introverts really work with the inner world of the non-physical reality with intuition and so forth.
Right.
Not that extroverts don't, but I think extroverts may likely be more sensate, you know, and involved with the physical realities of things.
Right.
And so when we realize how interconnected we are in the inner world, we're like being extroverts in the inner world.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. Yeah, we're like really loud inside.
Right. And excited and happy. You know, we're getting energy from our interconnection with all the beings.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I don't know, maybe extroverts are introverts in the inner world.
Who knows?
You know, who knows how that works, but yeah.
That's so interesting. I like that.
Right.
We're loud inside.
I mean, things. Oh, and I was going to say too, about this convening, I had come up with this, you know, I had seen this starting to happen, like just you and I, just, you know, I was working with Jenny Blake and Pivot and all that. And then you heard something of that, and then you did a thing with Jenny, and then she referred you to me, and then because we're all on the same wavelength.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, yes, of course, And so there are these things that I'm starting to call co-marketing.
Right.
It's not that we're marketing, together in some big thing, but it's like for each little event, we start to share information and things hook up and link up. And it's just kind of natural. It's like it's like connect the dots and things start to happen energetically on their own that way. Yeah. And so there are a lot, it's not like one big marketing effort. It's more like all these little overlappings that are fluttering around in the field and connecting up things. And then, so it's a marketing effort that's no effort.
Right.
And it's small. And I really think that's fascinating, And I just see that happening a lot more. People, we get in these Zoom groups, and then the people, they go into the breakout rooms, for instance, and they get to know each other. Oh my gosh, we're just like each other,
Right.
So we should do something together.
Yeah. And I think the prerequisite for that is that the ego stays out of it. It's like the ego doesn't join the Zoom room. The minute it's just like, let me find out how I can use this person to grow my business, and that's kind of, I think, what some of the old way was about. It's like, let's do a partnership, but what do I get out of it?
Right. I like that term, leveraging. Push the lever down. Get this.
How big is your network? How big is your, It's like, it's not really about that.
Yeah. So it's so interesting to just see how these things are naturally shifting already. We're seeing so many signs of these modernizing, if you want to call it that, or the transforming forms of how each of these things are going to change.
Right.
Because they already are. If you look, you see it happening.
Yeah, it's this thing in the brain, the reticular activating system, that once you pay attention to something, all of a sudden you see all these other things the same popping up. It's like you see a pregnant lady, or you're pregnant, all of a sudden there's all these pregnant women where before you didn't pay attention to it. And so, before I didn't see any of that happening, and now all of a sudden I'm like, so there is already part of that. It helps to be aware and tell your brain, this is what I'm looking for. Let me find those people that are already interested in it.
Yeah. And I think inviting is a good thing. And just sometimes I visualize the non-physical beings. There are so many people we know who've died. They're still there. They're just at a different frequency. All the personalities who've ever been are there at a different frequency. So there's this huge network of non-physical beings that if you want help, you can ask them to help. And the way they help, I think, a lot is through telepathy. They can help merge with the mental level and help ideas flow. And so they pop up in your mind as things that you want to do, or they can help with almost like unconscious logistics of the synchronicity of meeting people that you need to meet, or finding the thing you need to find, because it can, hey, look here, notice this.
Right.
And a lot of that logistical stuff that happens magically, I think, is often worked on by a lot of non-physical beings.
Right. Again, sometimes you lose me, Penny.
I know. I was going to say that sounds kind of far out, but
every now and then I'm like, she lost me. But then again, I was just thinking yesterday, I was looking for help for the book design, and so I just went on Google and looked up book designer. And I come across this Canadian lady living in Germany, and she just, like, I went onto her website, and she just looked so so like aligned with me. I'm like, God, I need to talk to this lady. And so maybe that's one of those moments, right? Left brain would say, well, it was a Google search.
Right.
Then maybe she just appeared to be there because that's who I was.
Well, isn't that like a materialization partly of the collective consciousness?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Right. Yeah. But, I don't know. I'll share this dream I had very briefly, which is where I'm in this space, this room, and there are all these kind of big, beefy guys standing there that were firefighters who had died. And
Right.
I realized, they're dead, but they're waiting for something to do. And there was another man there who was kind of sickly. And I said, well, let's put him in the center of the circle and let's just heal him. And they go, okay, great. And we did that together. They were just like built for doing things, and they didn't have anything to do, and they were feeling frustrated. So then I move on into a different room, and there are all these old people in evening clothes sitting at a formal dinner. And I'm wandering around in there, and I say hi to people, and they say, listen, if you need any help connecting with like people in Washington or CEOs or whatever, we know them, so just ask. And it's like everybody was like, if you need this, just let us know. Mm-hmm. And then I realized everybody was dead there, that I was talking to all these people who were still at a level, that was sort of close to the physical world. Right. And that I had not been asking for help.
Yeah. Wow.
You don't know how they're going to help exactly.
Yeah. You don't know how it shows up.
But why not imagine them and connect with them? Because they're not gone. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm. So anyway.
Yeah. I really wonder how people are like, either they're a bit lost or they're like, let me pay more attention to that. Right. And I think that's really what we're, that's why we're having these conversations, is like me, I'm a perfect guinea pig for that journey from completely left brain to, starting to go a bit more in the direction of the right brain. And it's just wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and it's fun to play with it. And then when you see that things start to actually work, right, it's like, wow, it's real, then you start, getting that.
Yeah.
So
wonderful.
Good.
Well, this was a good episode as well. I think we talked all we could about partnerships, and next week we'll be back and we'll talk about, let's do product next week. So product is going to be about physical products or services and what the conscious clients want and what we need to change also when we deliver services or sell products.
Sounds good. All right. I'll look forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks, Penny.
All right. Bye.
Bye. I guess if you're still listening, then that means that you're also open to be the guinea pigs of this journey towards a more right brain oriented marketing and business making and all of that. So I'm excited that you are here, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. As we said, we'll be back next week when we speak about product. And on Friday, I have a regular episode as well where we talk about the P of pricing. So if you haven't yet, sign up and subscribe to the podcast in your favorite app so you get the notifications. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Speak to you soon.